Welcome back to the Scorpio channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to the channel, I'm going to do a general message for Scorpio. Know that energy is fluid. Roles could be reversed. Interpret the message as it best resonates. Also know on this channel, I like to dive deep within the reading. So I do look at everything, but we take a lot of time to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, see how they play it as karmic themes. This will allow you to understand why everything's playing out the way that it is, why your person's acting the way that they are, why you're attracting that person into your life, what you could do to shape shift the energy, because there's many different realities that play out at one time. So it's your core beliefs that determine your behaviorisms, and it's your behaviorisms that will determine the karma that plays out. And like I said, there's many different realities. So depending on what you do, well, that reality manifest, right? So when you're dealing with a karmic, that's important because we know karmics to come into our life and hurt us psychically. So we don't see the wounds. People don't see the wounds. We never can see the wounds in somebody else until we're actually dealing with them. However, when you're dealing with a person, you're emotionally invested in them, and by then it's too late. So, being able to, you know, see things from a spiritual perspective allows you to not get stuck in like a karmic, I don't even want to say karmic contract because it's like the person is not really giving you anything. It's more like being stuck, like courted to somebody that you don't want to be courted to. That means like you feel their energy on you all the time, but they don't do anything. They're just kind of like there. And so that's a big issue with people that stay stubborn. They don't want to like evolve. They don't want to change. They're very narrow-minded and they just feel that they can manipulate the situation to get what they want. And so it a lot of times works for them. Very rarely do people walk away? Do people break that? Like if you've invested a lot of time with somebody and then they, stop calling you, stop coming around, hold back their energy, play games with you, they know this is this person is what I'm feeling. And just in general, when we're dealing with karmics, they are stuck in a lower vibration and they don't want to evolve because they know, well, when I do this, I can normally get what I want. So I don't really have to. It's like this is a way I can have my cake and eat it too. So every now and again, however, the most cockiest person is going to run up against somebody that doesn't put up with their shit. So there's a vibe that you are that person, you know? And that's why I'm kind of channeling this. But let's jump in today and understand that every relationship that happens is divine. We may not like what plays out, but the situation that plays out is for your betterment, is to help you become aware of what you need healed inside of yourself when you're dealing with people that have a lot of shadows. So no relationship is really a waste. However, if we don't heal the spiritual lesson, then we tend to get stuck in a limited perception of who we are and what we believe that we deserve, which is actually what I feel like you're dealing with. You're dealing with a person that has already gone through too many situations. They're pretty much set in their ways. They don't want to change. It's like trying to deal with a stubborn mule that just it wants to be right, that doesn't want to be subservient. And that actually is what ruins their connections a lot of times because they're just too stubborn. They're just too like, oh, they take pride in, oh, never release, I never surrender. It's like that's not an appealing trait when you're dealing with someone in a romantic relationship. It's like maybe business wise you can do that, but certainly not when it comes to relationships. It's like being with a person that is so egotistical that they don't really want to get that deep within the relationship. They don't. It's like, because if I'm always right, I don't want to look at your point of view, then I'm never going to have a deep, intimate connection. I'm always going to be cut off. And that's kind of like the energy there. Now we're going to see why I'm talking this. We're going to see how it plays out. If you want to enter into winning free reading with me, you got to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and write the word of the video in your comment bar. The word of the video is always on the first card that I pull out, and it's the underlining energy that tells me why everyone's doing what they're doing. Well, ironically, I feel like you're not giving this person anything, nothing, because you're like, you need to ask for forgiveness once and for all. Like, I don't like the way that you treated me. You know that you didn't treat me right. I'm not going to pretend that you didn't do what you did. You've held back an apology for a really long time, in hopes that I was going to feel bad, that I was going to yell at you to give me that apology. And that's not what happened. And this person has a major problem with asking for forgiveness. Because I feel like they've asked for forgiveness before, like from other people, and they were seen as weak. Their forgiveness wasn't granted, for all those reasons. So this person is like shut down to that. And you're like, well, I'm tired of having people come into my life thinking they can treat me like shit, and then think that they're just going to pop back into my life and act like they didn't do anything wrong, especially when I didn't do anything wrong. It's like, and that's where you're at. You're like, I feel like the spiritual lesson for everyone involved, including you, is to learn about forgiveness. That doesn't mean have this person in your life. That doesn't mean have the other people that shit on you in your life. It means to forgive, but not have them in your life. You can forgive people and have no resentment, realize that they have seen that you're dealing with somebody on a low vibration. And I feel like this is where you're at, that you dealt with people that were on a much lower vibration than you. So the resistance that you're getting is the fact that these people are not healed. And part of the fact that they have to view you differently, that they actually have to be subservient to you, this is the way that they see it, they're resentful over it. They're like, just let it go. And you're like, I'm not going to let it go. I'm not going to let it go. This person wasted a lot of time. And then when you were dealing with them, again, like, just avoided you. It's like, I feel this started off with you wanting to know the type of connection that you were in. There was always a sense that this person was not committal, that they didn't want the same things as you did, even though there was a really intense, strong spiritual connection. There's a lot of sexual chemistry, which there always is with a spiritual connection. But this person avoided answering a lot of those questions. And then over time, they gave you a lot of mixed messages. And then what happened is they just kind of dropped off your life. They disappeared. There was a feeling like this connection was going to get off the ground at one point, but this person reneged. And then instead of apologizing or giving you an explanation, they just avoided you. And I feel like that they didn't care when they did it also. There was a sense like, well, oh well, like I'm not gonna pursue that. And so again, instead of them coming to talk to you, they ignored you. They ignored the questions that you asked. Then they ignored like the fact that they just vanished and ghosted you with no explanation. Like I said, relationship that was going to take off, or there was a perception that it was going to. This person gave a lot of mixed messages. And the reason why is because they didn't really want to pay attention to your values. They really didn't want to build that emotional connection. And this is why you didn't feel heard and you didn't really feel like you were being valued. And it hurt. It hurt you that they kept avoiding like answering the question, playing games, like they were toying with you is what I feel like. They were toying with you, and then like when you wouldn't budge, they thought that they were going to use time and space to trigger you into you coming to them, and that's not really what happened. Yeah, it's like you were like, oh, I already know who you are. It's like I have a memory of what you've done because you did it so many times that there's a sense that even if you wanted to talk to them, you wouldn't because you already know who they are. That they want you to come to them. They want you to make them feel comfortable. See, everything that you're asking this person to do for you, they're not asking you to do it for them. What they're doing is they're manipulating you to try to do it, which normally works. So they get their needs met. They're not really worried about your needs. So there was a sense of them not valuing you at all. Like good enough to hook up with, but not good enough to invest in. And this is why you're like, I just don't really feel like there's anything here because every time I want to know what type of relationship I'm in, this person runs the other way, or they avoid the question, or they play games, or they act like I'm being too demanding. They dodge the question. And you just were like, I don't need to keep going through this experience over and over and over and over again. I already know. Again, never gave you the apology. And that's what I was saying. It's like this person, instead of asking for forgiveness and really explaining to you what type of relationship they wanted, didn't want to explain what type of relationship that they wanted because they knew that you would never, ever, ever volunteer to be in a relationship like that. It's like this person wants to come and go. They have avoidance style nature. So I know that you would always be disappointed. You'd always be resentful. And it would always make this person feel shameful. It's like because they have a lot of trauma around relationships because I feel like at one time they were betrayed, but I feel like they were betrayed by family. They were betrayed by people that were close to them. So they have major intimacy problems. There's a sense that this person is disassociated. So they know what happened, but they're not emotionally connected to what happened. It's like they don't have a feeling one way or the other. So when you get into a connection with them, you kind of feel like they're there, but they're not. And it's because they still have that disassociation like style to them, which by the way, one way that it is channeled out is through avoidance. Like I'm not going to deal with my traumas. I'm not going to deal with the things that you find uncomfortable because that makes me have to go inside myself. And I don't do that. There's this sense that this person needs to do healing. They don't want to do it. They want to do the easiest thing. They're very lazy. It's like they have a sense that they just want to come in and be doted on. They want someone to, again, shower them with affection to make them feel secure, but they don't want to do what it takes to actually earn that. And it's because, again, they've never healed. See, even apology, asking for an apology creates intimacy. It opens dialogue and it creates intimacy because it requires one person to be compassionate and it requires the other person that's asking for forgiveness to be transparent. So they actually have to be vulnerable. This person does not want to be in those energies because those energies make them dive deep inside themselves and they have like trauma that they have never dealt with before. So that's what you're dealing with. So instead, this person chose to, act like they didn't care, trying to keep you in a place of imbalance. But what it did was it made them imbalanced because you were like, I'm not going to deal with this. You looked at it after a while like it's a hopeless situation that you're not going to be their perfect person. It's almost like you felt like they were trying to manipulate you into like doing everything that would have been pleasing for them. And that's because I feel like this person has gotten other people to do it. Just you're intolerant to it. You're like, I'm not going to do that for you because what you're asking me to do is abandon my morals, what's best for me. Even though we have this connection, it doesn't mean anything to me because what you're doing is you're undervaluing me. So this person stayed away, they avoided you because it's again, they saw that you were going to stand up for yourself. They thought that maybe time and distance would get you to, act, to come towards them. And almost like as if you needed to apologize to them, which is the craziness. This person, like, I feel like feels that marriage when or any type of real intimate connection leads to death, okay? And they have a fear of that. They have a fear, and it's mainly because I don't really feel like this person has ever really created themselves. When we're children, we go out into the world and we play. And that's when we dream about one day becoming a fireman or becoming a hairdresser or becoming whatever. I feel like this person has always been told who that they should be, what they are going to do. So there's a sense of not really being strong within themselves, and that's why they always need people to reassure them and to like give them all the energy, and why they don't want to really give anything because they don't want to shatter their self-image of, who they want to be perceived as, which is somebody that has no feelings, that everybody is so into them that, they don't have to do anything because that's what they want to pretend that their identity is. But they want to pretend that because they don't have any other identity. Identity is where we're putting our time, our energy, our focus, our money, you know. It's It's like how we are creating our life. This person plays games with people. They come into somebody's life. They don't want to give anything. It normally works. With you, they actually have feelings for. So that's why there's a lot of resistance also, and there's a sense that you're like, I don't want to go into a karmic contract. Like you already see that being with them, you would not be happy because they have avoidance style nature. Okay, that's number one. So having a conversation with them is next to impossible if they don't want to talk about the topic. Then, if they do something wrong, they don't want to apologize. So there's always a sense of them wanting to seem a little bit more superior and, not value you. And the reason why is because they don't want to put that much effort in. They're lazy. This person's used of not having to do it. But then they don't attract people of a very high caliber. They attract people on a low vibration because anyone that's going to put up with somebody that never apologizes and doesn't allow them to have an opinion or be respectful of their boundaries, well, it's again, then they're with pretty much a dish rag, somebody that, their purpose is going to be whatever this person brings to the table. And that's what they like. But they don't like that also. That's the irony. It's like, I need that, but I don't like that. But that's what they create. Because the only people that are going to stick around to deal with that are people that don't know their value, lower hanging fruit. And you're like, if I was with them, it would be, I would wind up in a karmic contract where I would never get my emotional needs taken care of. If anything, this person might not even show up for other things. They don't want to hear about it. It's a very one-sided connection. Yeah, like they just want my body. It's like they don't want my soul. They don't want to connect with me on a psychological level, on a spiritual level, or any other level. It's just purely physical, which is all about lust, which makes you feel like you're good enough to have sex with, but you're not good enough for them to actually put any effort into, which again, if you were someone that had a low self-esteem, you might go in and give your body thinking that this person would give you more, which is what they pretend that they would do, but that's not what they would do at all. And it's like they're actually resentful that you're not going to do it. And so again, they avoid and addiction. So anytime this person can actually like heal themselves, they're like, nope, they avoid the situation. They hide. They find a reason why. Because again, they don't want to shatter that self-image of who they are. And it makes them angry. Again, that you're not doing what they want you to do. Because again, it's making them look at themselves. It's like I feel like this person it just is stuck in family patterns. Like they watched a father do this to a mother. They watched, you know, a dominant figure like to have all the control in the family, and it just made them feel safe. Someone always had to be right. A lot of times if a person grew up in an environment where a parent was so dominating, which I feel like this person grew up in an environment that one parent was really dominating and the other parent was really needy, emotionally needy. So they never got what they needed. So they are not good on either end. But the problem is that they're needy and they're also controlling. That's the irony. And it's because they've never created themselves enough, and they've never created themselves enough because they grew up in family karma. So they've adopted all these negative behaviorisms that were their mothers and their fathers. And so they've never had a good relationship. It doesn't mean that they haven't been in a relationship, they just go for lower hanging fruit. But the relationship never goes anywhere because this person can't be in a balanced relationship, and they can't be in a balanced relationship because they put themselves in competition. They won't allow you to progress. They want you to give their energy to, they want you to give them your energy. And they don't want to give anything. They're lazy. And I told you that. But the problem is they want to be the authoritarian. It's just that there is this past life connection, but they like their old habits, regardless of whether it makes them like sad. It's like it's fine as long as somebody's stressed out. This person likes to take risks. And if you were to be with them, you'd be paranoid. Otherwise, if you're not paranoid, they're paranoid. They can't deal with criticism because they need their inner child healed. And you're just like, I'm not tolerating whatever this is. It's like all due to the fact that they don't want to they don't want to honor the past life connection. And the reason why is because they don't want to do the healing that it would require them to do. So I got some new cards and we're going to pull from these cards. I'm going to pull 3 from each deck. I need someone to help me get over you. So it's again, yeah, instead of them trying to fix the connection, what you'll see is that they'll run around and try and replace you. And I feel like they look for you in every single person that they date, and that they can never find it because the people that'll be with them are people that are again lower hanging fruit, that are not they're not going to ask this person to do more of themselves. They're going to deal with the bare breadcrumbs in hopes that one day that they'll get more. The person that will never give more, by the way. They don't want to give more. It's like they can't stop thinking about you. So, and they have respect for you. That's the irony. They have respect for you, they like you, but it's again, you're too difficult to be with. You are the love of my life, but I couldn't see it. Didn't I tell you that? They'll be looking for you in everybody. It's like I feel like when you met this person, you were nice to them. I also feel like maybe your job, like you didn't make a lot of money. This person viewed you as someone that you're not. And because they stayed away from you so long, I do feel like they watched you for a long time. They even though they weren't talking to you and they were acting like they didn't care, they still recorded to you. So they were thinking a lot about you. And I feel like they were fueling, their imagination and getting their hopes up high that you were going to come back or that things were going to be able to work themselves out by stalking you on social media. So I feel like, they see that you were not coming back. They see that, you're not going to do really anything. So of course this person is put in a position that either they got to shit or get off the pot. And what they're having a problem with is that they actually caught feelings where I don't think that they had ever intended to like catch feelings. So it's almost like they're dealing with this. I still want to be friends, but it's hard right now. Yeah, like this person still wants to be in your life, but I don't see that you would want to be in their life because you're like, you already showed me who you are. And it's like you would want to be in my life so you can try and finagle your way back into my life. And it's like, I'm not gonna do the friends with benefits deal with you. I'm not the time that you had an opportunity to actually be in my life as a friend, you didn't want to do that. Instead, you avoided me, you ghosted me, you didn't apologize. Like these are the basics to just be a friend. You showed me that you don't know how to do that. Now all of a sudden you want to be friends, but you don't know when. It's like you don't have that option. Like it's almost like this person thinks that maybe I could figure out a way to come back in your life a different way. And it's like, can't. Passage. You are moving into a different phase of life. And so it's like, you're like, yeah, I'm leaving you behind. It's like because the whole time you had to fix this, you chose not to. You chose to avoid me over not wanting to apologize. But it was really deeper than that because you were lazy, because you didn't want to put any effort in. You would rather find somebody else to get over me so that you could have things your way, so it doesn't shatter your self-image. That's where you're at. You're like, and if anything, it's like you're resilient. It's like you're like, if anything, it's like the only thing that I really got out of this connection is that I am resilient, that you are also divinely protected because you are doing what you need to do for yourself. That it actually says here, you are protected as you face any adversity. So even this person does come towards you, which I feel like the more that you move away from this person, then it's going to push them to come towards you because they're not getting over you. They're trying to replace you, but they're not going to be able to replace you. They realize who you are now. They didn't know who that you were a soulmate before. Now they see it, but it's like, again, in order for them to come back, they'd have to apologize. And what are they going to say in their apology? I thought that you weren't that great of a person. I thought that you didn't have that much to offer me. I thought that you were like a loser, like in a certain area of your life. Like, what are they going to say? They can't say anything. So it's again, it puts them into a place of vulnerability. And so you're protected because you're in your high vibration and you're just, moving into a new phase of life. And that might mean your job is changing, you have a new circle of friends, life is happening where you're leaving this person behind. And it's almost like I feel like you're picking up speed almost. Like the resiliency is like, making you move further and further away. Well, that's what it feels like to this person. Keep the spark alive by rekindling your passion. Yeah, this person's like, I have to come in and offer some sort of romance. I have to like, otherwise this spark is going to die because what they see is you don't care. You're over it. You're intolerant to it. You're like, I'm not going to deal with it. You avoided me for so long through talking to other people, trying to replace me in your addictions, just being in your pride, in your ego. Like you wasted so much time in wanting to be right that it's like you think that you're going to come in and just like give me a little romance and it's going to like fix this. Well, that's what this person's normally used to being able to do. So it's not so much that that's what they'll be able to do. Understand that. It's more or less like this is normally the way that I deal with situations. I avoid it. And then if I have to do something, which is like maybe like once in a blue moon, I'll come in and I'll offer romance. But I feel like this person's going to be in for a really rude awakening, to be honest with you. It's like because they're actually like almost having a relationship in their head. That's what it feels like. They're having like a relationship with you in their head. They haven't given this connection enough time, and they don't understand how damaged the connection is because they held back from you. They ghosted you. It was disrespectful. And all over not wanting to give an apology, not wanting to be transparent, wanting to be lazy. Healing. It's like again, you're like recovering from trauma, willing to heal. It's like there's a part of you that wants to release this bond and the bitterness for your betterment because it's like you're recovering from the trauma. It's like this person is going to come to you and say that they'll be willing to like work things out with you. But I feel like it's going to be like a little like you're entering a new phase. This person comes in literally as you are like walking there. So there's a part of you that's like, I'm recovering from the trauma. Yeah, they're going to be willing to heal together, but there's a part of you that wants to release this bond for your betterment because it's like you're like nah like at this point you took it to the extreme, so yeah, now you're coming in, fuck you, after you did all that. It's like, oh, as a last resort I'm gonna do this, but I don't really want to do it. So there's a sense of like you being like, I don't need to put up with that energy. It's again, this was more than just this was a spiritual connection, okay? It was intuitive, it was deep, and it was intense, but it was a spiritual connection. It was supposed to be a sacred connection that uplifted you. It didn't uplift you or soothe you. It did the exact opposite, but it was a spiritual connection. Again, almost like I feel like this person sees you as like almost like as a safe haven. Now they want to see you as a blessing. They want to see you as like a refugee, okay? But there's a sense that you've moved on. You've moved on. Like you're like you've moved on to your own refugee. I feel like you created your own support system at this point, your own friends. There are people that are interested in you. This person held back for way too long. It's almost like the last thread before like everything like breaks. And at that point, you're like, fuck you. I don't want to deal with this. Like you're gonna like hold back that long. Like you're so pig-headed that you actually think that that's a good look on you. It's not a good look. It makes you look like an asshole, just because you want to be right. But you're not right. You were lazy. You didn't want to put in the effort. It's like, and what you were saying to this person is, I know I'm worth more. That this person had a hard time with that. Yep, it's like, see, not in a hurry to commit. It's again, and that's what you feel like. You're like, first of all, it's like, I can see that you don't really want to commit. You're not in any hurry to commit because you feel like this connection was always going to be there. That's really what it is. It's like because you are stable, you have values, you don't run around with 1,000 different people. So this person thought that they could act the way that they want. And yes, if they had to come back, they would eventually come back, but they were going to do it when they felt that it was ready. After they dated all these other people to try and get over you, after they didn't want to do anything to fix it, took risk after risk, held back, was avoidant to the point that a whole new life opened up for you. So this connection that they feel like is timeless, well, guess what? The connection is still like timeless, but they damage the connection to a point that you're like, I don't want this anymore. It's like I don't see you like the way that you want me to see you as. If anything, you ruin the trust because of your gaslighting. It was all about like you creating trauma to just get passion. I see the mask and I don't want it. That's where you are. It's like this person damaged the connection. And it's because I think because they're coming back like last minute, it's almost like, well, it's a last resort. I don't really want to do all this, but I feel like I have to. So you're like, I already see who you are. I already went through this memory. It's like that you try and pretend that you're going to be back together and that you really want what I want, but then once you get me, you don't really want to do that. And if you held back for this long, you're like, well, then it was more about you being right. You didn't care about how you treated me. You still don't care about how you treated me. You're just coming back to try and get what you want, which is passion. It's not even like a full connection. It's like, yeah, I see right through your mask. It's not real. It's like you want what you want and you hate the fact that I walked away. This is you, Scorpio. You're like, you're pissed off that I walked away. You're mad that I walked away, that I'm not influenced, that you couldn't manipulate this, that you took a lot of time and space to try and like trigger me. You would rather run around with other people and replace me, get drunk, lose yourself in your addictions, do everything and anything to avoid me, to waste time to the point that a whole new life opened up for me. And now I don't see you the same way. And that's what I was saying in the beginning of this reading, which is you shape shift your energy. So now this person's in regret, and you're like, I'm not even paying attention to you. I'm looking to see this next phase of life, where it takes me. That's your refugee. That's your refugee. So we have to say, why would you attract a person like this into your life? What did you need to learn? And I'm going to pull six and then two from my fearless deck. First card out is naive, overwhelmed, imagination, nurturing, outdoors nature, discipline. Not one real bad card. Like, I mean, maybe overwhelmed if I have to say, like, but I'm feeling like the majority, one, two, three, four, five, six, that's six. But the majority, like this person, if anything, made you uncover like strengths and gifts inside of you, things that, yes, you needed to do for yourself to integrate, to bring about those gifts to help you um, walk into this new phase of life. Like you said, a lot of you are getting new jobs, a lot of you are changing careers, a lot of you are ending old relationships. So it's almost like it's a whole new way of life. And part of that was to uncover certain spiritual gifts. Now, I do feel like as a child, like you grew up, that there was like a lot of overwhelming energies. Now, that could just because you were a highly sensitive person and everything in the environment was so overstimulating that it was overwhelming. Or it could be again that you actually had a parent or the home that you grew up in was overwhelming to you. And so when we're overwhelmed, we're obviously not nurturing ourselves, right? We're not giving ourselves the love and the nurturing. And outdoors in nature represents being grounded, connection to the physical body, the physical world, and all physical elements of the physical world. So I feel like, you needed to discipline yourself and ground yourself, but you always had the gifts of the imagination and naivety. In this instance, is actually a gift, and I'm going to tell you why. Because when you're naive, you're not looking for problems. You're actually a clear conduit. Children are able to manifest, they're able to tap into their psychic abilities real easy because they don't have any preconceived notions about things. They're not prejudiced. Unfortunately, this person, I think that you only saw the good in them when they first came around and you gave them time. And then what happened is that over time, you saw who this person was and that their stubbornness and their ego really damaged this connection. And that I kind of feel like shattered like your naive about people and relationships, but you're still able to draw on that naive energy of like the child to when it comes to manifesting, right? The child that survives thrives. But in the fact that you were so innocent, like it was almost like you didn't get caught up in this. It was almost like, yeah, you saw what they did, but it didn't affect you. You disconnected and you put the energy into yourself, like a whole other world opened up. This person didn't realize that. This person thought, oh, I'm going to waste a lot of time, a lot of energy. It's going to trigger you. You're going to come back. You're going to ask me, why aren't I in your life? You're going to make a big stink about it. And then eventually we'll start talking again. But then I'll have the upper hand. That's not what happened. What happened is you put the energy into yourself again, where you grounded and you disciplined yourself because this person was like keeping you overwhelmed. Part of you disciplining yourself is also nurturing yourself, giving yourself what you needed, the support, the emotional support as well. That, yeah, sometimes we don't get the emotional support from who we want to get it from, but as long as we're grounded and we're interactive in our life, the universe brings us everything that we need. And I feel like that actually is what happened. This person wasn't there for you. So other people were. And that's another reason why this new phase of life is opening up right now, because it's like you weren't there, you didn't prove yourself. I actually see you for everything that you are, how you treated me, and it's like it doesn't really work for me. This person never expected to let go, for you to let go, and they certainly never expected to have feelings for you. And you're like, and we put it into like, again, it opened up your third eye into saying, well, what other opportunities can I create for myself that's going to bring me happiness? And I feel like you're putting your time into growing yourself, into pouring into yourself, and that is also what activates the imagination, and your imagination triggers your intuition, and so you're in the process of manifesting a whole new life for yourself. And that's this person never in a million years dreamt that that was going to happen. They thought that you were going to come back and that you were going to, the worst case scenario was that they would have to come back and apologize a little bit and do a little tidbit and you know, and they would eventually get what they wanted. And what they see is that that's not what's happening. They're actually have to eat the karma because your soul is calling, you're listening to your higher self and you're letting your actions align with your values. And this person does not, that like their values don't align with their actions. So you're like, I don't really want you in my life because I only deal with people that's actions align with their values, and I don't like what your values are. This person showed you who they are. See, they didn't realize that that was happening. They thought that no matter what happened, that you were going to stay connected. But it's almost like they showed you too much of who they are. Because what really damaged the relationship was the holding back, was their ego, was them wasting time, was them trying to replace you with finding someone else so that they could get over you, their addictive behavior, from just their avoidant behavior and needing to be right, and it ruined it. So that's what it is. It's like you already showed me who you are. Now you want to come back. Of course, now you want to come back, but you already showed me who you are. I can't unsee what I saw. You did that. And that's what this person never banked on. Deep wisdom. Trust the innate knowledge and insights you possess. You have the answers. So it's almost like, regardless of whether that this is a spiritual connection, you're like my intuitive self. You're not in alignment with my goals and the things that I want to create for myself in my life. You've showed me that. And I really have to pull on this spiritual wisdom to realize that even though we have this strong chemistry and this connection, that it's not enough to fix the damage that you've done in this connection. I can't unsee what you did, and you were fine with handling me this way. That's where you're at, Scorpio. You're like, you were fine with treating me this way. You were fine with handling me this way. I don't want to be with a person that, like, instead of working things out, instead, you're going to punish me. You're going to avoid me. You're going to replace me, and to the point that you took it to the extreme that that you didn't build this connection at all. You didn't do anything to fix this connection at all. That I don't know who you are, and what I do know of you, I don't like. So we leave it off with one more card, and we're just going to flip it over, and this is freedom through faith. And where spirit says, I calm my thoughts and rise above fear, I free myself of all doubt by entrusting my doubts to God. I have faith in God's perfect timing and placement. I trust his will and find freedom. So understand that you didn't miss out. You may be like, oh my God, like this was my soulmate and they were broken, Understand we have many, many soulmates. Some people come in some of them come in just for a day. Some come in for a season. Some come in for a lifetime. Some come in to show you something about yourself, to teach you about yourself. I feel like if you would have given your time to this person the way that they wanted you to, you wouldn't have manifested anything. What you did was you put the energy into yourself, things that you needed to do. It's like because you didn't get to fully develop them in childhood. And that's doesn't mean that you didn't have access to your imagination, but maybe you weren't disciplined enough to know how your imagination would tie in with your career, or your imagination would help you in getting new ideas for your career, because you weren't like leading to your soul. You were again being overwhelmed by the people that were in your environment. So you were doing for those people because your emotional survival came from doing for those people. Where now it's not about listening to other people, but more or less listening to your higher self, which is your soul, which is the deeper wisdom, by the way. And that's about tapping into your intuition, nurturing yourself, making sure that you're balanced, being disciplined enough to be consistent and disciplined enough to keep certain people out of your life and to know that, that you have freedom because you don't have to look for your perfect person. Understand, spirit, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, knows what you want more than you know what you want. Everything's in divine order. You're down here in physical form to learn and to manifest. You're learning what it is that you truly want, and that in its perfect timing, that spirit will bring you your perfect person, that this person was just a karmic person that was here to, give you a spiritual test. And I feel like the spiritual test was, are you going to get yourself all wrapped up in the romance of this person? Because that's all that it's going to be, just going to be passion. Or are you going to be resilient enough to, again, move into this new passage of life, into the unknown, but the unknown of that you can create your own heaven on earth, because this person would not be the right way to go. And I feel like you're like, no, I'm not going to stay connected to this person. This person's too risky. I'm going to use my imagination and step into this new passage of life and manifest what I want to. All right, Scorpio, I'm going to leave that there. You let me know how you resonated with this one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.